Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer and we are returning to a Let's Play of War in the West, and a couple of things have happened, some of which are very good news, some of which are very bad news. So I've advanced the turn here to October 23rd, and the Germans did have their turn and they did a couple of things. So remember last time we were still trying to push up over here, and we are trying to get onto Pescara. We did technically drive the Germans out of Pescara, but we couldn't conquer it in turn, so that was a major issue. But nevertheless, we did one important thing with this, and that is we did cut the rail line over here. So technically, even though the Germans have obviously reoccupied that city, you can see the Axis rail damage here is listed as 100%. So that's good. This rail line is officially cut. Now, I would like to loop around over here and potentially get into their rear and mess things really up for them, as well as advance on towards Ancona or something. But, of course, that is going to be tough and that is going to be difficult. It's going to be more difficult due to a couple of the things that have happened. Other than that, we are pretty much focused really only on this area here, so there's not much that we need to do over here. Nevertheless, one thing is also down here. Now, let's look at what the Germans did here in terms of their combat. You can see they actually did counterattack us over here, and the defending forces did hold on. So, for some reason, they did attack with 34,000 men. So that's a pretty harsh attack over here. 34,000 men attacking our 16,000. We did come out worse in this battle, with 1,000 men lost, and most importantly, 124 tanks being destroyed. So that is definitely not a good turn for us, and that is not a good battle at all. So you can see all of these losses over here. It's pretty drastic actually. So yeah, not a great turn. Nevertheless, we did hold on to that hex, and that is pretty nice for us because, again, it's simply, well, we did hold the hex, and even though they did occupy this city again, I think we did maintain our most important position over here, so that is very good, I think. Second battle did happen down here, and that was a little bit more successful for the Germans. So they, remember they had one of the Fallschirmjäger divisions. I'm not sure whether it was this one, but they did have one Fallschirmjäger division in Neapels. We were trying to cut them off by looping around over them, and they did attack us over here to sort of drive us out. Can I actually see a report of this battle here, please? Or did everything just collapse? No. Well, okay, there we go. Sometimes it's really weird like that. Anyway, they were attacking us with 74,000 men against our 20,000. Again, we are coming out worse in this fight with 1,600 men lost against 500 of theirs. We are retreating. On the other hand, they have now evacuated Naples, and that is fairly fine because honestly, that area here is just way too tough. Now, that's about it for the German side. You might also notice one more thing, and that is we're in the ground phase, so we are not in the air phase, and the reason for that is the pretty bad news that we're having over here, and that is up over here. As you can see, there is lots and lots of rain all over Europe. We can actually look at the info screen here, look at the weather forecast or weather situation. As you can see, heavy rain pretty much all over our bases in Sicily, North Africa, and all of Italy, and pretty much most of Germany, and pretty much all of the UK. So yeah, we simply did not fly this turn. This was pretty much a wasted turn for our air bases. So that's a bit of an issue, but yeah, what can we do about that, right? So, you know what, we should actually check the ground situation because I'm not too sure on that either. So, sorry, it's the weather ground. So yeah, there's some problems here, some mud in Italy. Mostly light mud it seems, right? So, ooh, interesting. Yeah, that potentially does mean that we can't advance too strongly anywhere, really. Talk about the graphics. Can I only see that for the ground, please? Yeah, okay, so we are seeing that there is a bit of mud here. Okay, that's not the best, obviously, but it is what it is. Average roads, light mud, heavy rain. Yeah, so things are quite a bit complicated this time around. We cannot really advance too far. We didn't use our air force. Our air force was pretty idle this time around. So what we're going to do over here is, of course, we're going to occupy the city of Naples. I would like to definitely get that. And the next thing that we're going to do over here is declare that to be high priority. We're going to initiate port repairs over here because that's extremely important. Railway repairs are going to come afterwards, but also quite important as well, of course. Right, then we've got a couple of units over here, and I think what we want to do is probably loop a little bit to the north here with at least some of these units. So let's grab these guys over here. I think you can easily get into these hills, so that's nice. And then these guys can sort of bunny hop all the way across over here, I suppose. Or actually into the hex here with the American unit. Okay, let's get into the hex with the American unit. So we are a little bit more spread out down here now. That's not too great, but I think it's going to be alright. Okay, let's get you into the city as well. So that should be okay and fine. So basically you guys are now all sort of standing on this line. Right, you guys are part of this up here. Can't you be... Shouldn't we assign you to these guys down here? Maybe that does make a little bit more sense. Well, I don't want to withdraw you either, so you know what, that's going to be fine. Then the next thing that we do need to do is we do need to grab these Americans and lead them forward a little bit. Question is just how strongly will we be able to push through over here. I would very much like to dislodge these guys and advance a little bit here into this gap, so that at least they cannot really shift troops to the east of Gran Sasso. I would really like to pour through here. Question is, I don't think we will be able to do that due to the situation here with Pescara itself. Pescara itself is just well guarded, so everything that we move through here is going to exert quite a lot of zone of control issues. And specifically the 2nd Armored Division over here is pretty much beaten up, so I don't want to push them forward too hard either. These guys are doing a little bit better, but also these guys over here, you can see their table of equipment is only at 55%. 57 for you, 63. Yeah, we are driving our forces a little bit too hard. There's not much we can do, but that's, I suppose, just how it is. Right, we've got this unit over here, and again I would very much like to drive them back a little bit, so at least they are not exerting that much zone of control. On the other hand, the big question here is the 4th Fallschirmjäger Division. These guys are sort of sitting on our supply lines as we are coming through here. So the question is it more important to try to drive to the west over here? It would be nice to cross the river at least. That might enable us to later on push forward. On the other hand, just getting the harbour might be the more important objective, so that we're not quite as dependent on the supply flying through this little tiny gap over here. Speaking of tiny gaps, you know what, let's briefly look at the situation here for the rail lines. Now, obviously over here these guys do definitively need to move up and basically connect up the Salerno area over there with all of the other ones, so that is kind of nice. You know what, let's look at this. Yeah, that's looking okay. So this is here really the Strats route, so I would like to loop up around over here, I think, all through over there. But both of these are viable. This might be a little bit nicer because then the Salerno could try to supply that over there. On the other hand, Neapels is really the most important area that we've got, so yeah, I suppose down here is fine. You know what, let's do at least try to build up towards Neapel, so you just move ahead there. Now down here, getting another line to Bari just doesn't seem that important to me. On the other hand, this is, I mean, no, it's really, I don't think it will get us anywhere is the point. So we might actually just shift you towards over here, trying to meet up with this line, and then ultimately have an easier time to bring in northwards. I know I did start to repair this, but it just doesn't seem that important. Yeah, okay, let's shift you over here. Build up a little bit of rail supply there. Can't move you further, so it's a bit of a waste there, but I think it's fine. We will ultimately be able to connect Neapels up this way, and this would be a very nice connection here between our two most important depots. So yeah, I think that's fine. I think all of this line down here is fine. So really we do need to ask ourselves, where do we attack? Attacking here seems suicidal. This is for Fort 3. This is rough terrain. There's mud. No way. Simply no way that that is going to work. Up over here, attacking into this hex might work out, but I'm not entirely sure where it would get us, because It might enable us to prevent these guys to move out a little bit. But honestly, all in all, it just doesn't seem that useful. Right, so let's grab the tanks over here then. And I suppose, big question, which one to attack? 22 is pretty harsh, but on the other hand, I see that the 94th Infantry Division over here is relatively weakly supplied, so these guys might fall relatively quickly. That would certainly be nice. Right, how far can we get the Americans up? Okay, we could get you up all the way over there, so that's, I suppose, what we're going to do. You guys could move up just basically one hex over here, and we've got the 3 units over here, so that's not too big of an issue. Right, the Americans, probably good to rest them up for one turn. Are they going to be strong enough to withstand this pressure over here, though? Well, we will move up this British division as well, so I suppose, since you're probably going to only move one hex, I think that's going to be fine. Okay, so let's then take the Canadians forward. Okay, Canadians are going to go forward. Can I do deliberate attack with you guys? Oh, damn it, I did move the headquarter forward. That is not what I intended. Right, I'll move you back a little bit. Right, there we go. Then move these guys forward. Gonna leave the 1st US Armored Division over here just to beef up the defenses over here a little bit. This is looking a little bit weak, honestly. But it's across the river. I don't think they will try anything over here. Don't think they're going to try to do anything funny there. Right, so that does leave both of you guys. Now, let's move the slightly stronger unit forward. So we've got 2 units here, right? So, okay, yeah, let's move the stronger tank unit forward. Let's grab a couple of units over here, and that is specifically you guys. Can you do a deliberate attack? You can. It's 14 points against 22, so it's not necessarily going to look great, but let's see. So it's actually pretty bad. So we are very far from getting any sort of big boost over here. Well, that is unfortunate. Also, the Canadians did suffer greatly over here, and that's kind of interesting. You're still kind of strong though, so not entirely sure why you were suffering so badly. Right, that's a little bit sad. Okay, so that does mean you guys are probably not going to be able to move ahead much further though. Right, we've still got the British division over here. Okay, let's do a deliberate attack over here. These guys are retreating, so that is at least nice. And we can move you up over here. Can I attack another time? I can. So I could try to push that out of here. It's probably not going to work. No. Across the river, this just doesn't work. So that's okay though. We are making life more difficult for them, and that is our most important priority over here. Right, let's grab the tanks over here. You guys cannot push through or anything. You could attack again, but I'm not really sure that is going to work out in our favor. So I think this position more or less is pretty fine. I mean, we've got the headquarters over here. You guys are trying to defend everything. We have cut them off from over there. It is a little bit risky still, so I'm not super excited about this. But all in all, it should be okay. And you know what? We're going to exchange you here to the 13th Corps. Right, so you guys, let's make sure that you understand you are part of this corps. So that means you basically got all of these guys covered. We could move you up a little bit so that you're also supplying this unit. Jovelino maybe, but then we'd be exposed to any sort of counterattack there. Yeah, so you know what, let's not do that. Okay, and that's fine. And then we're going to assign you here to the 30th British Corps. It's a little bit sad because you're a US division, and normally I don't like to mix them up too much, but we're doing that anyway with the tanks, so I think that's fine. Yeah, okay, and we've got you now in a relatively decent position over there. That's fine. Good. Okay, so that is the situation up over here. Let's jump over to Sardinia, where we have been attacking these guys here. Let's try to do another deliberate attack over here. 600 men going down from both sides, but we are reducing their fortifications. So that's pretty nice. Does that mean I can attack again? I should be able to, right? So let's do another deliberate attack over here. They are surrendering. That is 19,000 Germans surrendering, and that I think is a very, very nice result for us. Right, let's try to move you down here. You guys can accompany them, and then let's have all of these guys here move out as fast as possible towards locations where we can transport you to reasonable places. Right, you're going to go to Caligari. You guys are still on the ships, which is slightly awkward, but that's fine. You guys up over here are in decent supply, but we are sort of in a position where we cannot hope to really challenge them, so I don't think there's much point in trying to get Corsica at this moment. I think the battle up here is much more important, so we're probably going to try to shift our troops a little bit towards this direction here over time, so I think that's fine. Yeah, you're repairing the port, that should be okay. We are slightly exposed here with the railway repair, but all in all still fine. You guys are repairing that anyway, so that's nice too. Lots and lots of units here to shift about, but honestly not that important, so that's okay. We do have an Italian unit somewhere out over here, don't we? Yeah, up over here. Right, you guys are still on the ship, so I could technically probably move you up to Taranto. Would that be a possibility? It looks fine. It doesn't look like we would take too many losses. Okay, yeah, let's try to move you over here and then get you off the ships. That's fine. Can I move you up about it a little bit? Yeah, let's just at least move you over here. So ultimately you'll be stuck in with the enemy a little bit sooner. Right, you guys could start an invasion over here on the Italian coast, and I'm very tempted to trigger that. That would be landing at the Anzio and Lido di Roma bridgeheads. These ports would be great for resupply, and specifically the landing at Anzio would be nice because it would have a very good chance here of cutting this rail line towards the Germans. So basically that would basically only leave them with these two, with this basic setup over here in the sort of center of Italy. So it is tempting, but honestly at this point with the heavy weather, I'm not too sure that is going to work out fantastically. You know what, Tortoli, can we repair this port so that we can make sure to get these guys out a little bit sooner? That would be fantastic. So that way we could at least transfer these troops towards this front here a little bit sooner. That might be nice, honestly. How about this port over here, actually? It's a level 2 port. We should be able to ferry them out from over here, shouldn't we? So yeah, I think it is a little bit too soon. Bad weather, it just doesn't feel right. So without further ado, let's hand it over to the Germans, see what they are going to make out of our push through over here. We are manning a very thin line over here now, and I'm not entirely happy about that, specifically about this here, because it again just prevents the flow of supplies towards our bases. So I'm not sure. On the other hand, the conquest of Neaples is definitely a very great one for us. So here we go. Germans are probably going to reshuffle all of their troops, as they usually do. Question is, are they going to attack? Oh, they are. So let's see what's going to happen here. So that is an attack. 7,000 men on their side, 17,000 on ours. So nevertheless, we are sort of coming out of this somewhat similarly. Well, this is the Hermann Göring Panzer Division, so that's kind of tough, including some Werfer, some gun battalions, some pioneers. That's a tough battle over here. Nevertheless, we are holding out quite nicely. So yeah, I'm happy if that is going to be the extent of their attacks. And it just does look like a little bit like that. So let's see whether they're going to pull back a little bit or whether they're going to reshuffle everything. Interesting setup over here. So this position here is again very weak. That is very interesting indeed. Logistics are happening, so hopefully most of our units will be in supply. But it is going to be a little bit tough to shuffle all of these supplies, especially here on the north/eastern coast. Right, let's look at the weather first, because I'm a little bit afraid of how that is going to look. Right, weather air. Okay, so we've got some light rain, but it's not quite as bad. So we can fight. It's only light rain, so not great, not terrible, but okay-ish, I would suppose. Right, so these guys were the ones that were being attacked. You seem to have held out pretty nicely, I must admit. So yeah, that's actually okay. Right, they have withdrawn a little bit over here. What have we got over here? This is just a reserve infantry division that's hanging about over here. These are the guys that have just attacked us. There's a Panzer Grenadier division stuck in here. We've still got the Fallschirmjägers and a part of the Panzer division. Interestingly enough, here we've got some guys who have little supply. And then we've got another Panzer Grenadier division that has been shifted over here, where we've previously seen the Fallschirmjägers. So that's interesting. Fallschirmjägers, on the other hand, are now over here, or closer towards Pescara, and Pescara itself has apparently been reinforced with the 94th Infantry Division. And yeah, we've got parts of a Panzer Division over here, so they are trying to contain us, while still trying to maintain this choke point in terms of supply over here. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? Another division up over here that has just been set up. Question is, we could potentially launch the Operation 63. You might be okay if we triggered the invasion now, it would at least work. This is not perfect weather. This is October 1943, so there's a limit to this, but we could potentially do it. I don't see any chance of us pushing through down here immediately, which is probably what we would need to really get them to surrender. We do also really need to think about whether we are doing anything with Pescara. So I think this position over here is something that we definitely do want to reduce, simply so that we have a slightly better hand up here in the north. And then we've got these guys over here, which are defending fairly well for now. So we could try to push across over here. Well, I don't expect us to be able to get rid of these guys over here. They're just way too strong. They're behind the river line. Yeah, just no way that we're going to get rid of these guys. Pescara is pretty strong as well, but not quite as bad. So honestly, I think what we're going to do then is take the tactical air command first. So these guys over here, and you guys are going to have a fairly simple job of simply going for this area here only, for this particular division over here, and gonna try to dislodge them from these hills. You've got level 2 fortifications, you've got level 1 fortifications, level 1, level 1. So honestly, it might be better for you guys to attack someone else then. What have we got over here anyway? Oh, we still haven't updated the no-fly info, right? So, okay, let's, sometimes I like to do that on screen, so let's quickly do that. Come on, let's go for the commander's report over here. Let's look at all air groups. Let's set all of them to be operating. Let's look at the fatigue. It should be fairly low for everyone, but everyone who has 15 or more fatigue, so that's basically no one, fine. And then anyone who has morale between 0 and 70, you guys are gonna go on a rest mission over here. So you guys are not gonna operate it this time around. How's the weather gonna look next time? Cold. Is cold worse than heavy rain? Is it bad at all? I don't know. Right, okay, nevertheless, the weather report doesn't indicate too much for us. So nevertheless, we do know that we have some units here that could attack these Panzer Grenadiers, who are fairly well dug in, so it's a bit of an issue. The Kitty Hawks are, I think, carrying 3 500-pound bombs. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Hurricane 2s, you guys are using rockets, so that's fine too. Typhoons, you guys are using rockets. How about the Hurricane 4? Can I ask a couple of you guys at least to use the 40mm cannons against potential tanks that they might have up over there? On the other hand, taking these guys here, but they are on a mountain. I think it's nigh impossible to launch any effective attack over here. So probably our main attack this time around is going to focus on Pescara and opening up our supply lines here. I think we don't want to do too much more. Let's play this a little bit safely. Otherwise, I think with our supply situation, we'll not be too happy. So I think this is all okay. We've got a couple of more Hurricanes. Is there anything else that you could carry that would make some sense? A couple of 500-pound bombs. That's kind of nice, but really not that crucial. The Typhoons, yeah, all of you basically have got the rockets. Air Cobras, you guys are a little bit weird, but on the other hand you have that 37mm cannon, which could be working out fine. You guys, you know what, let's carry a couple of bombs instead with you. I think that's going to be fine as well. And then you guys are operating as fighter cover over here. Honestly, I don't think we need that much fighter cover, so let's actually, even though you're trained as fighters, let's use you in the bomber configuration, and let's carry a couple of more 500-pound bombs onto these guys. So yeah, what have we got now? 255 airplanes. And your only job is going to be to decimate that one division. We could of course try to disrupt their movement around over here as well by just increasing interdiction and everything. But honestly, historically that just hasn't really worked out for us. So I think I'm going to be fine with this setup over here. We are not going to need to check for these guys in a moment. But you know what? Let's come in like that. That should be okay. And your advanced options are going to be, you know what, fly a little bit higher. And on 5 days that's going to be fine. 16 strikes here. Is that really reasonable? What would the order do? 2. Well, 2 is too little. Okay, you know what? Let's call 16 strikes here. I think that's fine. Okay. Right, I like it. Good. Let's adjust the recon here as well. So your target is going to be this again. No great area to check. Just really push up against these guys. We've got a couple of Mustangs over here. You know what? I think one unit is fine. Let's have the other guys rest a little bit and that should be okay. 12,000 feet, are you just really doing stuff that low? Yeah, you've got low level camera, so okay, I suppose that's fine. Day 1 and 4, that's fine. Target priority is going to be unit. Yeah, that's fine. You're going to do that as well. So great. So we've got this set up down here. We've got the ground support, the direct ground support. You guys are going to be working with pretty much everything that we've got there. So that's nice. These Hurricanes, can you carry the guns? No, you can't. So probably the rockets are going to be the best thing that we've got. You guys are all using the rockets, except for the Warhawks, which are using normal bombs. I guess we can use at least one of these Kitty Hawks. No, these Kitty Hawks are all doing that. So I think this is a fine mix. Let's roll with that. I think that's fine. So that's 150 airplanes that are going to do in direct ground support role. And that does leave us with Bomber Command over here. So let's have you guys... Can we create a breakthrough over here? We could try to, you know, not cross the river, but just go directly south. If we went directly south, all of this zone of control stuff wouldn't be quite as bad. On the other hand, crossing a mountain is really tough. I mean, the movement points there would be horrendous. And there would still be some zone of control issues, right? Nevertheless, if we could reduce the strength of these two guys, I think we might have some chance here of making some progress against this rail connection at the very least. And that, you know, if we cut this and if we cut that, basically they'll be pretty much hard pressed. And we would be able to create a nicer breakthrough down here. But you know what? I did say we are going to play a little bit conservative over here, so let's actually do that. Let's just the recon guys. Yeah, I think you don't need anything more than one Spitfire group over here. Your target is going to be the unit, of course. Nothing else. There we go. And your target is going to be, again, just no area. Thank you, please. There we go. Target priority is going to be the unit. So basically just get rid of these guys, blast them away, and that should be fantastic. Right, let's set this up a little bit more so they're not taking all the flak damage that you can. Let's remove all of these guys. Let's assign all of them. That's not quite as many units as I would have hoped. A lot of these guys are still set to rest, and that's probably because their morale is fairly low. Probably I'm going to tweak that a little bit because I would really like to make a strong strike over here. I think 1,000 pound bombs are fairly nice. They have been working relatively well for us, I have to say. Right, anyone else who's out of range or anything? A couple of thunderbolts over here, a couple of lightnings. Should probably reshuffle the lightnings. I mean, this almost brings you home. You know what? So let's use the Hurricanes here. They're not great, but I think they do work. So we might actually want to shift them a little bit to the front over here. Have we got them over here? No, these are Mitchells. Or are these the Hurricanes? I thought the Hurricanes were over there. Actually, that's kind of funny. Okay, where are you guys then? No, these are Mitchells. Why are you not here? We've got the Spitfire VBs down there. Why can't the Spitfires work? Set to rest. Why are you set to rest? Yeah, your morale is pretty darn low. Don't know why exactly. Did you get too little supply or something? Could be. Interesting. Right, now let's do use it as we've set it up over here with 100 planes coming in, and that I think is fine. How many strikes have we got to do this? You can fly a little bit higher, I think. Strike number 6, that's probably a little bit high, right? Let's do 4 over here, so about 25 planes per strike. I think that's more reasonable. And in terms of recon, you are coming in on these days. I think that's a little bit better. There we go. That's fine and lovely. You know what? Let's do come in on the last day here as well. What are you using? Spitfires? Are you guys set on mid-level? Yeah, you are, so that's nice. Good. Okay, fine. I like it. We do have some guys set up for this over here. But, ooh, look at that. We've got actually a couple of Wellingtons here that could be operating. But this is just a dummy, really, that we're just parking some units there. So, not a big issue. Right. You know what? If we can get the Wellingtons in here, that would be fairly nice. So, let's try to get them and see where they are. Out of range. Okay, let's get you in there. And let's see whether we can give you some different loadout over here instead of 4,000 pound bomb. So, well, you only got this option here with auxiliary fuel tanks, so it's only 500 pound bomb, so that's not really fantastic. But we are still going to use that simply because it just might increase our striking power there a little bit. Right, and then what we can do down here is take these guys over here, the Strategic Air Force, which we are going to do something slightly differently. We're going to tell these guys here to not be working in Romania. Basically, let's remove all of these air groups here. Weather seems to be too bad here anyway, so that's fine. And then what we're going to do here instead is switch this to a ground strike mission. We're going to try to target this area over here on a fairly large area actually. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to disrupt the rail heads in all of these places. So let's remove everyone, let's assign everyone, let's call this done, and let's ask you guys here to be coming in slightly low, I suppose 21,000 feet I think should be fine in Italy. And then what we're going to do is we are going to ask you here to strike at the rail yards. That's perfectly lovely and fine. And you guys are going to come over here as well. So let's say there, area 4. There we go. The lightnings, yeah. Let's lose 2 of these lightning groups simply so that we can make sure that we are covering that. It is strategic, and yeah, it is this hex, and you should be prioritizing the rail yards, not the ports. There we go. And that's fine, good. So that, I think... Oh, it didn't register the bombing mission there, did it? Okay, fine. I'm going to set that up in between episodes because this is going in a little bit too long. And I'm also going to set up a strategic bombing of Germany itself, so that should be okay. And all of this naval patrols. And then you guys can rejoin me next time around. So, looking forward to see you then. Bye bye, guys.